All right.
Welcome, Anna,
Thank you.
to our podcast at the Conversational AI and Customer Experience Summit. I was really deeply honored yesterday to be, for the third time in a row now, the host of this event. My name is Christoph. I'm the founder of IdeaBay, and we have done conversational AI almost 10 years now, always focused on the experience side of AI, as I call it. And I'm really excited to meet you here for this podcast.
Thank you,
We
Christoph.
just talked about it. You asked some really interesting questions yesterday to our speakers. You're representing Infobip,
Yes.
one of our sponsors, so we're really grateful for that. Maybe you can say a few words about yourself and
Absolutely.
Infobip.
Thank you, Christoph. Yes, thank you really for this initiative in terms of bringing this topic to life more to the surface. It's a kind of a new, it's still a new topic, but it's super important to Infobip, and this is why we're here, and this is why we are glad to sponsor this event. I'm Anna, and in Infobip, I'm responsible for the business growth strategy and value propositions that we build around four of our strategic industry verticals: retail, e-commerce, banking, and telco. This is where we see in both CPaaS, like communication space and AI space, we see, strategically speaking, a lot of opportunity to add value to what businesses and brands that have been doing so far in connecting with their consumers. So I met some very interesting speakers yesterday here discussing what they've been through in their conversational AI experience, and I'm super grateful to really be there and listen to how they define it, how they go about it, how they think about it, how they execute, and that helps me figure out, what else we can do to really add value to that process.
Yeah. Let me just say, this was something that really impressed me just when we were talking before the podcast, and I asked you, how you look at the event, and you're a sponsor, and we need sponsors, but it really impressed me that you said we came here to listen.
Yes.
Because yesterday when I did my opening keynote, I said, let's please not make this a sales event. People know how to buy, and we're here to share knowledge, and this is something I really see in you. So I value that a lot. Thank you very much for taking that approach.
I think that's we really underestimate that opportunity to actually to concentrate on how the brands that we sell to at the end of the day, all of us, actually how they interpret and how they relate to everything that we've been doing, because we are all, I spend, the entire day goes around this brand, that brand, communication channels, conversational, how do we, what are the use cases, how we do. Now you take a step back. You come here and you just listen to how they see that from their own perspective. So
Yeah.
absolutely appreciate it.
And I think this is what actually makes this event so special, and why we do have such an amazing lineup of big enterprises here.
Yes.
DHL, AXA, Mercedes, right? There's so many big enterprises here from very different fields,
Yes.
right? And this is also what I got yesterday. Like, that people really like this diversity, in also in industries.
Yes.
that comes together here.
Absolutely.
So let me kick it off with the first question. How does your company, Infobip, actually envision the evolution of customer engagement beyond traditional messaging channels?
Well, Infobip started as a messaging platform, SMS, and it was almost 20 years ago, and then as kind of time went by, and the founders and the company itself grew with the customers, because Infobip actually grew with enterprises. And that's the unique position that Infobip has in terms of constant co-creation and constant development of technologies going beyond pure messaging, because hundreds of banks, insurances, telcos have been there with Infobip for a while now. So what we see is that messaging is the first step. It's the bridge or the means that the platform gives you to reach your customer. Mm-hmm. That's it. Then, if you want to go deeper in terms of exploring the channel a bit more, using some rich functionalities from digital channels, then we kind of onboard you to this two-way engagement, two-way communication. So one thing is to broadcast, the other thing is to receive the answer from the consumer and engage into a more meaningful conversation. In order for you to be able to do that, we can give you engagement tools to learn about that consumer on the other side, to ask some questions to understand, and then to really come out there with the relevant message to that target audience. Then it's about, we talk a lot about like what to automate, what not to automate, and how human, what kind of role a human plays in that process. But for sure, there is a certain part of the journey that should and can be automated, and for the efficiency reasons, for the customer experience reasons. So that's another layer that goes beyond a pure message. And then obviously there's this entire conversational AI space that we are tapping into for the past 3 or 4 years, that actually gives you that personalization, that gives you that gives you the tone of voice, that gives you a bit more human like approach to that consumer, and that actually helps you build this genuine, authentic relationship with the customer. So these are the building blocks of that kind of experience that we would like every brand to have, to take advantage of, and to present to their own consumers.
Okay, I think you said something very interesting in that you're looking at what you would like or what customers would like to automate, and what maybe should not be automated, yes. Right? And I think this was also a topic that was recurring yesterday. I think it was even like the very first keynote by Nissan, where they talked about the irreplaceable human element, right?
Yes.
So what's your view on that? What are cases where you say like, well, I don't think it makes sense, maybe to even use AI, like conversational AI, as a digital assistant there?
Yes, it's. I also took it with me from yesterday as probably the most recurring topic that popped up in different types of speeches and panels. And yes, I think that we see different examples of, for example, banking industry, for example, and the customers we work with, the spectrum of how that industry approaches automation versus human, we call it human in the loop concept, or no automation at all, is super wide. So we have examples of banks that automate, that are strategically decided to enter conversational banking all the way and automate whatever can be automated, in that of course having in mind the experience and everything else, to actually differentiate themselves, to see how far this can go, and to see what kind of business benefits they can really pull out of that. On the other hand, at the same time, we talked to one wealth management company in Asia Pacific, and their president says, guys, I don't want automation. Like, I want an upgraded experience through, for example, rich digital channels like RCS, WhatsApp, Viber. I want my relationship managers, because these are my wealthiest clients, and it's not about wealth itself. It's about the type of transactions they do, a type of conversations they hold. And he said, I want to take advantage of the fact that this is like the branded, secure type of conversation that I can have between a relationship manager and my customer. I want them to be able to schedule appointments through the app, through the channel. I want them to be able to register for an event, to ask for like stock exchange reports and stuff like that. But I want live person on the other side, because that type of conversations is just too sensitive to start with automation. Let's start with a live person. Let's use the capabilities of the channel itself, and then let's together figure out when the time is to automate. So it's about this, of course, it's about sensitivity of the topic. It's about, we have it a lot in customer support cases. Every brand will tell you, there is always 25 to 30% of inquiries that can be fully automated, and we see that across industries, and that's an FAQ stuff, and it's really a no-brainer. But then they say, okay, guys, but now we need to talk about use cases when there is a human ready to jump into that conversation whenever we feel it's necessary or the customer feels it's necessary. So when the conversation gets too emotional in the sense of frustration or something similar, then we need to be able to recognize now is the moment to make sure that the human is in the loop. So I would say either the sensitivity of the topic itself, or kind of what kind of emotion this conversation triggers with the customer, and how far we really want this to go, versus keep it as controlled as possible.
It's interesting. So like, I was actually recently attending an event. It was like an insurance event in Zurich, and there was a very interesting case in my eyes. And to me, it looked like a really, really great case for the use of AI. It was actually about wealth management, and basically, like the problem it was solving is like, when you have to gather a lot of information before you can make a sound.
Yes.
Consultation, like, you can really consult well on, like, well, what is the right investment strategy for you? What is basically the amount of money that you always want to have secure? What is the amount of money with which you are willing to take risks? And there's a lot that has to go in there. And to me, that looked like a really, really interesting case of AI, because so much information, data has to be processed, and that's where AI is, really good at. And I'm always on the lookout for these cases where, like the starting point is actually the problem, and we're looking at, okay, well, this is a problem that has been around for some time, and until now we have not been able to solve it that well, and now we're looking at new technology, and we're seeing,
Exactly.
it becomes solvable, right?
Exactly.
And not the other way around. This is a quote I saw in another conference this year, where it said, "Not every solution has a problem."
Yeah.
So because
True.
too often people say, let's do something with GenAI.
Yeah.
And not the other way around. Like, we have a problem. So like maybe you can share also from, like, from your work with clients, what was a case where you really said, wow, that was a use of AI or conversational AI technology that in my eyes really made a lot of sense, because it tackled a true problem.
I have one super kind of plastic example, where we started, and you're right, when GenAI appeared, then we had customers coming in saying, we want, let's do the GenAI. Can we have this use case with GenAI? And not only we don't have to automate everything, but GenAI is not an answer to all of the problems that we have. But that's the matter of education and awareness, and that's why we are here at the end of the day. And that's why we don't talk about solutions before we understand like what the problem we are trying to tackle, because we can tell you then what type of AI makes most sense to implement. But we when it comes to kind of different types of AI, we saw one very interesting and very simple and plastic case in our region close to Croatia, where we had one retailer coming in saying, okay, guys, they are super offline, so there's no e-commerce there, but they really are into innovation, and they really want to see how they can use digital and conversational methods and strategies to come closer to the customer and to get to know them. Because when you are offline and when you are a retailer, it's super hard for you to get to know your customer, because there is no touch point. But they have the app, and they invest a lot in the app, and then we started with some cases that was not Gen AI, but like in terms of conversational AI and different types of intent-based and rule-based bots, we said, okay, they want to expose a bot towards customers, saying, okay, these are the digital leaflets that you can walk through, like ask for some specific product that you are interested in. You can check which stores work on Sunday. In Croatia, there was a law imposed a year ago, where businesses could use only 13 Sundays a year to work, and that was a huge change for the consumer. So everybody was like, okay, where do I find out what's and that conversational moment where you don't Google stuff, but you ask, you come to the brand through the channel, and we use AI to really orchestrate that conversation, saying this is the nearest store that works on this Sunday. So it's super plastic, but it's super scalable in terms of, and then what we through intent-based bots, what we in this same conversation figured that 30% of customers that were engaging with the bot were asking about if there are some open positions in the company so they can apply. And then we made an analysis for that brand, and we said, guys, 30%, and we didn't have use case for that. Like 30%, and in these big retailer chains, the fluctuation of workforce is big, so it's kind of, and you can really have different levels of automation of this recruiting process. So they said, oh my God, okay, we have struggled. We pay a lot of money to find the people around the country. If they come to us, let's use that. So we developed a use case with a bit of a Gen AI, but mostly intent-based bots, where we now, really can, to some extent, we automate the process, saying, okay, we ask certain questions to the potential hire and stuff like that, and then we help shorten the time for the brand to employ and to keep this momentum going, and we save money because they don't have to spend that much money on advertising their positions, and it's simple, but in a lot of cases, brands come to us. No-show rates in clinics. The guys who run the clinics, they say, yes, let's, we can do all the Gen AI and all the advanced stuff, but where we want AI to help us? Like with very basic but volume-driven transactions and use cases. Like, do you know that 40% of people who have an appointment in a clinic don't show up? And it's not only about the I remind you, but I engage you. I try to really tell you how to prepare for that medical exam, what to bring, not to waste my time, your time, and everything else, and actually to show up. So these are these more sophisticated ways on how AI can actually make you feel responsible for your appointment and for something that those guys in the clinic, she said, this is my biggest issue at this point, to make sure the operations are going because you showed up when you needed to. So these are like the real pains.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a spaceship, solution for that, but it's a real pain that actually help us get trust from brands as well. It's not like, let's do all of this big technology and let's help you solve what really hurts. And then we develop trust, we develop some credibility because it's relatable. And then all of a sudden, there's a lot of new use cases coming in that solve more problems.
I think this is a very good point that you made at the very end. That it's first, especially for example in the banking industry, it's about establishing trust.
Yes.
Right. And this is something that is, that I find personally very interesting because with my team at IdeaBay over the last years, we have worked on a vision which we call charismatic AI. So we have studied, when we look at the human-to-human role model, what is basically, like the peak of an interaction
Yes.
that you can have. And we said, well, it's when you walk away and say that was a charismatic interaction. You know? And then we're studying, well, which parts of charisma do you actually want to have in the human-machine interactions, and which not.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And charisma is, in its essence, is based on three pillars: a pillar of power, a pillar of warmth, and a pillar of presence. Right? And trust, if you look at that, trust is crucial, actually, to some degree, to all three of them. Right? Establishing trust. So I am like my last question to you would be, when you look at this issue that you raised at the very end of your last answer, trust, and especially in the banking industry, how do you currently see companies going about establishing that trust when they're using AI? And maybe let me just give you one great example that we threw into the discussion yesterday, which was it's not from banking, but this was from from an energy company that has selling certain packages, and basically it wants to inform its customers when a package has a better price than before. And I said, well, we don't have the people to do that, but AI could be making these proactive calls and telling them, okay, you have a better price now. And then I thought this was a great use of AI technology, because when you call that same digital assistant later for a service question,
Yes.
like the back of your head says, well, that was the one that got me the better price on my current package.
Yes.
So the question is how do you see companies establishing trust when they're using conversational AI?
I think it's there is a. I think it works like other way around when it comes to human being involved, in terms of when we say we in a telco environment, there's like a lot of technicians in the field, and they are always somewhere on the ground trying to solve some problems to make your service work and stuff like that. And then we say, and we are working on some use cases where technicians can use conversational AI right on the spot when they are solving a problem to a customer, to actually offer something or to get some recommendations to, if they see how what kind of services the customer has, if there is certain opportunity for cross sell in a genuine way, then the conversational AI, gathering all the information about the customer they are with, will actually help him do that. And then the companies will make sure that there is more that the technicians are more fulfilled in terms of, like, the customer support agents, in terms of what they do, how they use their time, and how much, again, money they can earn out of that. And then we said, the technician will come to into your home. You will let him into your home. He will make things work for you, and then it will be much easier for you to actually continue that conversation as a customer into a way that can end with a lead, with sales, or it doesn't have to. It doesn't matter. The same thing that we discussed yesterday about the proactive support and about, can we place AI in the positive context in front of the customer first, not to leave the impression that, when we want the customer to be as quickly handled as possible, we introduce bots. And then if really, there is no way that the customer won't give up, okay, then there's a human to be involved. So I think that it's an amazing idea, approach, strategy to actually make sure that AI first gives something in order to ask for something. And that's like, give some additional value without asking for anything and without trying to handle a tough situation before you actually added some value that nobody maybe asked for. I loved the approach about, you solved the problem for me. why don't you ask me 30 minutes later if everything is still okay? The human will not call you and ask that question. And these are these small parts of the customer journey that make such a difference. So yes, I think that making sure that we really introduce and present a position AI as somebody who, or something, that first, gives and adds value and really doesn't do that because there is something waiting, some agenda behind. I think that could make a lot of difference in how it is perceived. And plus, I heard from the DHL as well yesterday. I think really that it makes sense for AI to have a face, to have a tone of voice, to have a certain sentiment and certain kind of way of interacting that involves some kind of emotion into that. So we don't have this constant transactional feeling. Like we talk to a machine that has these predefined answers, and then whatever it helps you with, fine. If not, your problem.
Yeah.
So that's in long the answer to your question.
Well, I think that's a wonderful closing statement. Let AI first give and add value before it asks for something. I think this is really great. I think we can put that as a top quote over this podcast. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank
it
you.
was an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Great conversation.
Likewise. Thank you, and congratulations on the great event.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.